Michael Gerber, in his amazing book, The eMyth Revisited, talks about a tradesperson like me waking up one morning and having an entrepreneurial seizure. We just wake up with an idea of we're not going to work for the man anymore. We're going to go start and forge our own way and do our own thing. But most people don't actually end up starting a business. So Michael said it the best. Let me read it from him. He says, as Michael says, if your business depends on you, you don't own a business. You have a job. And it's the worst job in the world because you're working for a lunatic. And he's right. As somebody who's now worked for himself, I can be a lunatic at times, especially when it comes to my own work schedule. So I want to tell you 3 takeaways that I have from Michael's book, The eMyth Revisited, that I did right. I took Michael's advice, and it's things that have actually worked out really well for us, and I think they'll work out great for you too. So let me start with number 1. This is the first takeaway from the eMyth Revisited. Let me read it to you. A mature company is founded on a broader perspective, an entrepreneurial perspective, a more intelligent point of view, about building a business that works not because of you, but without you. And that's a weird thought. This applies to schools, not just traditional brick and mortar businesses, or if you want to start a job as an electrician. It needs to function without you if it's going to be a business. Otherwise, it's just a job. There's nothing wrong with being a sole proprietor and running your own thing. And if you love the act of teaching and you want to just do those things, by all means, do that. But if you want to actually start a business that can start and run when you're on vacation or if you're sick, think about it in terms of being able to run without you. And that's a system that you've got to set up. You actually have to create that. It has to be intentional because otherwise it's easy to get stuck into that trap of always doing, and never getting to the point of actually running your business. So that's my first takeaway from Michael's book. Let me share my second one with you. Pretend that the business you own or you want to own is the prototype, or it will be the prototype for 5,000 more just like it. And by that, he's talking about, he actually makes reference to McDonald's and setting it up so it can run as a franchise, not to actually run a franchise, but to systematize it to such an extent that it can run, going back to the first tip, without you. It's the only way it'll work that way. What we're doing here with running Kilroy's is that very thing. I wrote software that can help it run as a system. I've got processes in place that run it as a system. What I'm trying to teach you is there is a system to this. There is a methodology to it. And if you can execute according to that system, it'll make your life so much easier and you can actually enjoy the business without having to go to work in the job. Let me share my third takeaway from Michael's book. What you do in your model is not nearly as important as doing what you do the same way each and every time. Now, what he's talking about, or at least what I took from what he's talking about here, is that consistency. So when I have other instructors, they're going to have different ways of presenting things, different ways of speaking. They've got different life experiences, but a customer's experience when they come in here should be the same each and every time, meaning that if we greet them at the door one time, but we don't the next, that's a shift. If we're talking to them and engaging with them in one way one time, but then we're not another time, that's a shift. When we're teaching technical things, there might be some variation in how instructors teach a certain technical task, but it shouldn't be throttling to the customer at the end of the day. And so we need to have that consistency among staff to share our knowledge and our experience and give the same experience to a customer each and every time when they come in through that door. And that consistency is important for staff as well, because then they're not sitting there contradicting each other. They're not doing things in a different way and getting frustrated with each other in ways that would maybe be detrimental to the business. So keep that in mind as you're working. I can't recommend the eMyth Revisited more than just by saying it really transformed our business. So I want you to pay attention to that. The audiobook is phenomenal. I keep Audible in business. I love audiobooks. And so Michael actually does it, the entire presentation on there, and it's like he's talking to you. It's like he's your friend and he's your advisor. They're sitting there giving you advice. I've no doubt listened to this thing, like no joke, just probably 15, 20 times. Each time I'm in a different phase of business, I pick up something a little different every time. And so go ahead and pick that book up if you would. See if you get the same takeaways that I've got on here. There are more. I've actually got a whole additional list of resources and takeaways from Michael's book out on runningkilroys.com. If you go out there, free to download, just go ahead, create a login. You can register, get that download on there, And then we cover some more things in there too about what I did in my business that's really worked well and creating a system that might work for you too.